I prefer it as it is. I still think that they should give pensioners free licences because of what they've done for the country. But what I think is sad about the whole story is the fact that no bosses can open their mouth. I've done a late-night phone-in for 45 years of 4 hours a night, and I've now given up because I can't speak and I can't say what I want to say. And I'm frightened to... Well, you can't say what you want to say anymore.
For fear of being cancelled?
Yeah, I'm frightened. I've got a radio mic. I'm in there thinking, what am I doing with a radio mic on? You know, honestly, these days you can't say anything. I interviewed the Chief Constable. Lovely. She's a friend of mine. I said, the man hours. And she jumped on me because I said, man hours. You know, I've been brought up with man hours. Have I got to think of every word? 4 hours a night, 5 nights a week? It's hard.
It should be them hours, shouldn't it? According to
don't start all that. By the way, I love the perfume.
Yeah, and we're not allowed to say firemen anymore. We're meant to say fire them.
Yes. Fire them.
Fire them.
Fire them. Well, fire the lot of them.
Instead of firemen.
Oh, my God. Well, fire people?
Picture them.
And they've been rewriting all the Roald Dahl books, all the wonderful books about fat and ugly people and so-and-so and ghoulish this and ghoulish that.
Interesting you say that. Some of the old shows they're showing, like Till Death Do Us Part and things like that, I think they should keep them as they are, to remind us of what we were, like the statues in history, to remind us of how bad they were and how wrong that was.
They were,
and they were brilliant, but also it was a different generation.
Absolutely. Put it into context.
Yeah,
do you remember the show Love Thy Neighbour, which at the time, you know, was a huge success and historically has now been rebadged as this racist product. But actually, if you watch that back, as I did recently, just to sort of say what was all the fuss about, it's actually really clever. It portrays the white guy as a bigot, and the black guy as more progressive. And actually, the black guy looks a bit thick for being like that. And that's why I agree with you, Pete. It's useful to look at it.
That's interesting you say it like that, because you can perceive so much more from it. But we should keep it, because that's our history. You know,
and it has to be seen in context, because that was then, this is now.
Yeah, and as a gay man, I went through so much abuse, but I've learned from that abuse, you know.
Pete,
a story you got... Oh.
Sorry, I was going to say Paul O'Grady on beating COVID to get back to work again.
Yeah, it's a double page in the Mirror, and it's well worth a read. He's a dear friend of mine. He's outrageous. It's one of his rants. If you want to be cheered up today, read this, because I love him to death. His animals have kept him alive through COVID. He didn't realise how bad it was. And I spoke to him. Thank goodness he had his animals. I rang him up one day and I said to him, how are you? He said, well, not very well. Meh. I said, pardon? He said, I really... Meh. I went, excuse me? He had a baby lamb in bed with him, whose mother was... The typical Paul O'Grady. And he's coming out on the road again as Miss Hannigan, which really excited about as in Annie. But he is the worst Miss Hannigan ever. He scares the living daylights out of those kids. So it's a great read.
Oh, terrific. And you've got a good one for us too, haven't you, Emma?
Yeah, I think this is good news. Telegraph are reporting that medical assistants could be starting to prescribe drugs. And look, we know all the problems with the NHS at the moment, but also primary care. There's a real sense that there needs to be systemic change. Often, just getting a routine prescription, nothing fancy, nothing that needs high-level medical expertise, is just impossible, just even getting to see your GP. So the Telegraph are reporting that there's sort of medical reforms underway and that regulators will be looking at the possibility of extending prescribing powers to medical assistants. I think they call them... they have all different names for them, but physician associates who can assist GPs with... I mean, look, GPs now are working on average 3 days a week. There aren't enough GPs. We've got, a swelling population.
Well, I would add to that at a time where most GPs seem to be missing in action.
Well, yeah.
It might be an idea to sort of spread out a few of their skills to other people, surely to help lessen the burden on the NHS so we can all get the care we need quicker.
I hear all these problems with the NHS. I have had nothing but satisfaction with the NHS. My doctor's surgery is brilliant. They run it well, and we all get seen to.
I hear that a lot from outside of London. I'm in central London, and I cannot get, even for my 2-year-old, I cannot get a GP appointment.
It is extraordinary.
And outside London, though, you hear, actually, no problems at all. You can walk into your GP, so it may be...
Interestingly, I hear the other side, because because I have family who live in the West Country. They have terrible problems where they are in the West Country. I'm in central London. Again, my doctor's surgery is absolutely wonderful. But I do wonder about whether or not we should be using pharmacists more.
I was going to say.
Because they are so well trained.
They are almost more experienced than GPs. If you think about the amount of people they see day in, day
Frontline,
out.
face-to-face.
Our pharmacist is brilliant. You go in, you can talk to the proper pharmacist right in the back, not the person on the counter.
You're missing one other person, the receptionist at the doctor's. I ring Carol up regularly and ask her before the doctor what's wrong. She knows more than any of the doctors.
I'm not sure you want the receptionist prescribing your antibiotics, but maybe.
Oh, I don't mind, as long as I get my antibiotics.
But I think whenever we talk about this story, it has vast regional differences.
Yeah.
It really does.
It appears that, and you're right, chemists are doing a phenomenal job these days.
Super.
And the same within hospitals. You can go in and have amazing nurses, and then you can get a couple of... You know, I think it's the same in any profession.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, there's an interesting story here from Eamon Holmes, who normally sits in this chair right here. He's not in for the weekend. I hope you're getting well, Eamon. He's talking about this thing that's been going for a long while, Pete, this feeling that if you're middle-aged and you're white, you're bottom at the list for TV jobs, although here we all sat on TV, the Barrowers.
I picked this story because it's a minefield. It's opening a minefield. It's something that a lot of people are talking about privately and won't talk about publicly. Eamon says he blasted the youth-obsessed TV bosses for not giving jobs to white, middle-aged men. He went on to say that if you're... it's all about your sexuality, ethnicity... and he's opened a minefield because we had the middle-aged actresses in America were up in arms because they couldn't get jobs. Now he's saying what an awful lot of people are saying, and I won't cross the line here, but I've got an awful lot to say about it because there's so many, and I'm getting a nod at the end there, agreeing. It's getting...
Not so much colour, but I think age.
No,
is
everything,
a huge thing.
But not colour, everything. The whole mix.
And it's so hard to speak out if you're, like me, freelance. You're reliant on lots of different companies. You work with lots of different channels. And
Can I just say, though, Pete, I do find it quite telling and yet rather sad that you have a really strong take on this, but you're not prepared to share it. You said that twice now during this segment. Is that because you just worry so much about the fallout?
No, because they'll pick up on it now. I mean, I'm already, I think, trending on Twitter because they're having a go at me, saying nice things and good things.
Oh, you've been amazing.
No, but that's what they pick up on. It's what they pick up on. Then I think that I should be doing a job like all of us here, because we have experience, nothing to do with age. I have experience to handle it, and if I don't know what I'm talking about, I can bluff it, which the youth can't. Sorry, youth, you can't. You don't have experience.
There you go.
But I think it should be based on ability, not on age or colour or whatever. And I think it's a lot worse. Well, Angela and I could probably talk about age for women. I think it's a lot different because you see, and I won't say anything, I love Eamon too, but he's a lot older than his co-host, you know, and actually it's...
And I'm older than a lot of you put together. And
you may be a few years older, but it's a lot. You usually get an older anchor, an older male presenter, and a younger.
Well, I'm not.
I'm all in favour. Save your blushes here. I'm all in favour of mature women like me having a toy boy sitting next to them. I think it's about time we did that.
And I'd love a toy